Good afternoon. Welcome. Welcome to SKR Season 6, Round 7. And we're in Great Britain. We're in Silverstone. Welcome to everyone who's returning to the channel. Of course, it looks like we're going to have 15 starters. We may still have one or two individuals squeezing into the lobby before the race. But it looks like we should be getting going with no less than 15. We have an Alpha Tauri and an Alfa Romeo getting out on the grid, getting out on the track very early, as is a Red Bull. So already some action out on track. This is a track where we've seen in the past that track limits can be a big issue. Hello to France, hello to Death Queen in the comment section. Thanks for joining. It's SKR. It's Silverstone. Track now starting to get quite populated. Lots of drivers on outlaps. Almost 50-50, the other 50% remaining in the pits. So we're in Q1, it's just the one qualifying session. All drivers get the 18-minute session to do as many runs as they can, to go around as fast as they can. Already some of that time is gone, just 15.5 minutes remaining in the session. Some of the drivers, such as Louis, Harsh Cartoon Disguise, Gotzi, still in the pits, have not made their first move of the afternoon. We're waiting for those first lap times. Obviously no lap times just yet, something also to remember for the race. We are in Silverstone, so unless weather is set to dry, it can always be unpredictable. I didn't look at the weather personally before the race. Maybe we get an interesting one. Remember, safety cars at this circuit are almost certain. Soon gonna see the first cars now coming over the line to set their first timed laps of the evening, so you'll see that timing screen get populated very quickly. Still a few drivers in the pits. I was gonna say, I wonder if they have pit or grid penalties rather, but I see Gotzi has now left the pits. Harsh Cartoon and Disguise, the two drivers remaining in the pits. Revolution over the line first, goes P1, then Damo over the line second, goes P2. They've both been demoted to P3 and 4 because Virus takes provisional pole, chums up onto the front row. And like I said, timing sheet's going to get populated very quickly. Looks like Skull has done one lap on the softs, but he does not have a time next to his name. I'm going to presume he invalidated his quick run. Andre goes up onto the front row, P2, times at the front, 26.5 for provisional pole, 26.8 for P2. So quite a difference on the front row. We've seen a lot closer than that before. France. Tonight is SKR. SKR is a league run on Sunday night. It's just a one-tier league. There's just the one tier, and then obviously SAFRL. They have the two tiers, and it's tier 1 on Monday night and tier 2 on Wednesday night. This is SKR. Gonna see some of the same names. Skull still looking for that first lap, and now he gets it. The first one was invalidated, but the second one works out perfectly. He goes up onto the front row, 26.7. And I really think he invalidated that first lap, or he just backed out of that first lap, because he had to take 2 laps to get that lap time down. And I wonder if just that little extra rubber, that one extra lap, could have made the difference. Virus back in the pits, provisional pole, 26.5, Skull. And Andre, the pair of Alpha Tauris, in P2 and 3. This is Gotzi. And I was almost about to say he goes over the line, but he would have gone over the line if we were using the old Silverstone circuit. Until not so long ago, I think maybe in the past 2 or 3 years, MotoGP has been using the Formula 1 pit complex. But until 2 or 3 years ago, MotoGP was using that main straight as their start-finish line. No change at the front. All those drivers have gone out, done their initial runs. They're now back in the pits. Virus on provisional pole has left the pits. He's on an outlap already. Seems like everyone now has done a lap. Harsh Cartoon retired from the session. Not sure if he had some sort of quali penalty. Andre, 26.5, goes one better. But it's a 26.545. That means it's just 15 thousandths faster than what Virus accomplished on his previous run. And surely he's expecting a little extra on his second run. Speaking of that second run, he's on an outlap, winding up. And it looks like all the top runners are going to be out on track very soon. Gotzi on his way back to the pits. But Andre, provisional pole 26.5, but I'm going to tell you it's not safe. It's definitely not safe. Virus just 15 thousandths behind, and he's going to start a new fast lap. Also have the second AlphaTauri of Skull, who has shown some serious pace on that first run, which, remember, wouldn't have been absolutely optimal tires. And then the last man in the 129s is Top Gun the last man in the 26s, Top Gun 26.9. So just the 4 drivers, and 15 thousandths cover the front row. This is currently P2, 26.560, Virus, Alfa Romeo. Just looking for an improvement, any improvement And I think any improvement will do just about. Just needs to find 15 thousandths. Just the smallest little detail. And he'll reclaim that pole position. Stay on board with him and see how his sector 2 goes. It's gone purple in sector 2 by 6 thousandths of a second, so he's definitely on the pace. There is a car in front of him. Hopefully that doesn't just put him off a little bit. Gonna go through the final corner. Let's see what he can come up with. He does improve. 26.4. And he lowers the bar. I was going to say Andre returns to the pits, but Andre's already on his way out of the pits. Chums, he's taken P3. 26.7. 5 cars now in the 26s. Virus. 26.4. But we said Andre had taken provisional pole, but that time wasn't safe, and that proved to be correct. But Virus has now taken pole, and that time is still not safe. Just half a tenth. Chums will be searching, Skull will be searching. We know he's got a little bit more on a brand new set of tyres. Yeah, France, that's they sort of match up pretty well on pace. So we have Skull in the second of the 2 Alpha Tauris. And that is a 26.3, fastest lap we've seen today. And it's good enough for provisional pole. Virus is entering the pits, and you'll see he's just been demoted as he's entered the pit lane. Now we've got Andre, the second Alpha Tauri. He's on an outlap, currently in P3. He's going to start his second quick run, but you can see there by his tyre selection that this is a used set of tyres. So don't expect too much. Just 5 minutes remain in the session. So Skull is on provisional pole, 26.3. Then we have Virus, 26.4. Then the second Alpha Tauri, 26.5. I wonder if we will see an Alpha Tauri front row. It's going to come down to this man here, Andre. Remember, these are used tyres. So if he does improve, I don't know if he'll improve enough to take a pole. This is Skull on his way back to the pits. I don't think he's going to spend too much time in the pits. And then he's going to be back on his way. Not a lot of time in the session, just over 3.5 minutes remaining. So if you're still on your way into the pits, you got to make it quick and get back out there. We're going to have a very busy racetrack in the closing 2.5 minutes. Everyone in the top 5 is in the pits. Means we're going to have all those quick runners out on track at the same time. In fact, there are 11 drivers in the pits right now. We look for one that's not in the pits. Hopefully we can see some action. This is Damo, the first of the 2 Red Bulls. The Red Bulls in P11 and P14 as things stand. but Demo is the one leading his teammate. He's currently P11. His best lap time was a 27.7. Took a lot of curb there. If he didn't get invalidated, he was lucky. Back at the front, remember, Skull, provisional pole, 26.3. He's on an outlap, looking to improve. Virus P2, 26.4. Nothing in it between those two drivers, just half a tenth. And they're both on outlaps. They're both going to have one more go at it. Andre as well, leaving the pits. Everyone in the top four is out on track, looking for an improvement. This is Demo. We were riding with him earlier. He did make an improvement. He was in P11, now up into P9, 27.4. The pair of Mercedes down in P12 and 13, Disguise and Reezy. And then the second Red Bull of Smurf. Well, what can I say? You saw that for yourselves. The second Red Bull. I think that was a Mercedes. I'm not sure what happened there, but completely just went into the back of another car, lost his wheel and retired from the session. So Smurf will take no further part. If anyone in the comment section knows what happened there, let me know. I was watching it and I don't know what happened there. All on quick laps. Skull, Virus, Chums, Andre on an outlap. Virus going very quickly through sector 1, going through sector 1 purple. Getting the purple sector just motivates you that little bit more, and especially when it's on the first sector of the track, you know it's a good start to the lap. Skull goes into pole position. It's still provisional pole because the session's not quite over. Virus still out on track. 26.3 is provisional pole. Virus is going to have to find just over half a tenth, and he can reclaim that position. He's going to go over the line any moment now, and we'll find out if he can. Yes, he can. 25.9, and that's a statement to make right at the end of quali. Mr. Ram over the line late in the afternoon, 26.0, goes P2, and as I say that, gets demoted into P3. New pole sitter, 25.920, Andre leaving it till the end. And that's a qualifying session that went down to the wire. No one else out on track. Checkered flag has fallen for everyone, and just the two cars in the pits. There we go, there are your official results for qualifying. Andre taking pole position, then Virus P2, Mr. M so late, but P3, Skull P4, Chums P5, Top Gun P6, Louis P7, Gossi P8, Damo P9, and Revolution making up the top 10. Then we have Dixie Killer P11, Disguise P12, Reezy 13, Smurf 14, and Harsh Cartoon making up the field. To the viewers there, Death Queen, I'm not sure, I made a bit of a mistake here, so I didn't get your last comment, so if you could just comment that again. Now we just await the start of the race. There is obviously the mandatory 5 minutes break between the end of qualifying and the start of the race. And then we will be underway here in Silverstone. At least this week, track's getting mixed up a little bit for me. Last week, commentated on 3 Japanese Grand Prix in just 4 days. And by the end of it, I was quite tired of looking at Japan. So Death Queen, just drop that comment again, because yeah, I didn't see it on my side. And I will be back in just a minute. And we are back. Obviously we're back at Silverstone. 5.8 kilometer circuit, one of the longest circuits on the calendar. Total of 18 corners, 10 to the left, 8 to the right. A track that is as old as F1. 5 red lights. And we're underway. There we go, I had no sound for a second, I was worried. We've got a drive-through penalty for Skull. Skull in P4, he has a drive-through penalty, and unfortunately for him, not only that, he's dropping through the field. He's now down into P5, he's got a Ferrari up his inside, so Chums up into P4. Andre leads the way. And he does so by 8/10 of a second already early on in the race. Mr. MP3 in the McLaren, then Skull, the second AlphaTauri. He's in P4. He's reclaimed that 4th position. He's got back past the Ferrari, and he's going to try and gain some momentum again. Remember, he has a drive-through penalty for a jump start. Also remember, a drive-through penalty cannot simply be served at any time in the race. It needs to be served within 3 laps of that notification. So having a look, no damage on that AlphaTauri. He was losing positions early on, but he seems to have reclaimed his momentum. Maybe just that jump start putting him off. Sometimes initially when you jump start, you almost jump off the throttle like it's going to help. But at that point, you might as well just go. The drive-through is still going to cost you more than anything you gain. Andre leads the way, that gap maintaining between 6 and 7/10. Mr. M still P3, Chums and Skull fighting it out for that P4, but it seems for now the Ferrari has come out on top. Chums in P4 and by quite the margin, almost a second. So Skull is falling back at the start of the race. Don't know if there's damage to the car that we can't see, or if it's simply the mindset. Sometimes a penalty like that can just put you off a little bit, and before you can get your head back in the game, you're going to go backwards for a little bit. At the rear of the field, we have a Red Bull of Smurf. We saw him retire quite spectacularly in qualifying. And now Reezy off the circuit. We have a retirement, we have a caution, and hold your breath. It's going to be a safety car. Is everyone back underway? It's a safety car. We have a safety car on lap 3 of 26. And now would be a good time to bring up that tyre screen. Okay, so judging by those tyres, I don't think anyone's going to utilize this safety car for a pit stop. Maybe the 2 drivers who chose to start on softs. Now you'll see that the penalty next to Top Gun's name, he hasn't served that penalty. So I think that penalty is no longer next to his name because we're under safety car and you cannot serve the penalty under safety car. So he needs to remember how many laps he did before the safety car, because that's, well, he's only got so many left after the safety car. So it's happened to me before that I thought I had 1 lap to go, safety car ended, I didn't follow the safety car into the pits, and I got disqualified. So it can be a difficult situation when you're trying to keep track of that 3-lap rule, and then suddenly a safety car comes in. Lap 4 of 26, being led around by the safety car. Majority of the field is together. Got a few cars at the back, that's a Mercedes-Benz and an Alfa Romeo. They had a visit to the pits, so no more drivers on the track with softs. We saw 2 drivers start with the soft tyre. Both of those cars utilising the safety car to get rid of the soft tyre, which means now everyone on circuit is going to be on very similar strategies. Welcome to Pantry Staff. Thanks for coming, thanks for joining, thanks for the support. Andre leads the way from Virus. I think we're still going to have one more lap behind the safety car. Still got 2 cars catching up. Actually, they have caught up. But it's too late now, so I think it'll just be one more lap. Important to keep your concentration here behind the safety car. I've seen lots of penalties given out under safety car conditions. Mr. Rem still in P3, he's been there throughout the race. Saw Chums having a bit of back and forth with Skull earlier on, but those 2 cars are no longer anywhere near each other. Chums still in P4, but Skull down in P12. Started with 15 drivers, so obviously nobody squeezed into the race between quali and the race, and we've already lost 1 down to the 14 runners. But shortly, I predict you will see the notification, safety car in this lap, and hopefully we will be back underway when that does happen. The responsibility then goes to the AlphaTauri driver. He gets to lead the field through the final few corners of the track. He becomes the safety car, and there is that notification. And as soon as that notification comes up, you can see Andre taking control, backing up the pack. He wants the safety car to disappear into the distance and go down the pit lane. He can lead the way. He decides when it is to go. And remember, there can be no overtaking before the start-finish line. He goes very early, much earlier than I've ever seen. And wow, Andre P1, Virus P2, the gap 1.6 seconds. That's the sort of start he had on him. Then you've got Mr. Rem and Chums P3, P4, and we have an Alpine now into the top 5 as a result of Skull falling down the field. So no change at the front. It's Andre Virus, Mr. Rem, Chums, Top Gun. Then we have a Williams in P6. We have Damo, who's made up 2 positions since the start of the race. Remember, he started in P9, now up to P7. Then we have the second McLaren Revolution, P8. Second Ferrari, Dixie Killer, P9. And then the second Red Bull, making up the last points position. As things stand, just the 14 drivers, so that means there's 4 drivers outside of the points. Those 4 drivers are Harsh Cartoon, Skull, and the pair of Mercedes, Reezy and Disguise. Virus coming under all sorts of pressure from the McLaren. Mr. Rem. Drivers, I don't like to mention the amount, but for the viewers back home, you can see it. And you can see how different the battery management is there between these 2 drivers. Andre leads, 2.6 seconds is the gap. He's pulling away and he's doing it quickly. Virus, on the other hand, he can't concentrate on catching Andre because he's got to worry about the McLaren behind him. That McLaren also in a bit of a DRS strain of his own. Mr. Rem followed by Chums, Top Gun P5, Louis P6 in the Williams, looking at a possible overtake. Is he close enough? Not quite. Damo P7, Revolution P9, he's looking for a way past that Red Bull. Stay on board with this just a little bit longer. Getting really close to the back of the Red Bull, putting Damo under all sorts of pressure. Now runs a little bit wide. And remember what I said earlier about the circuit track limits. It's something you want to stay away from. The penalties on this circuit can rack up quite quickly. We have the second Ferrari, Dixie Killer. It's being chased down by another Ferrari powered car, Harsh Cartoon P10. And now outside the points, we have the second Red Bull of Smurf, second AlphaTauri of Skull, and then both Mercedes. Toto Wolff must be having a great day. Speaking of a great day, great job so far, Mr. Rem. He's been P3 for a majority of the race, but now he's picked up a position. He's got past Virus. Was applying the pressure for quite some time. And now he's got past and he's going to chase after Andre. He needed to do something. He could see Andre disappearing up the road. If Virus was going quick enough, he'd probably let Virus tow him around. But the moment Virus was holding him up, he knew he needed to get past and chase down that AlphaTauri. It's already closed the gap somewhat. When the overtake happened, the gap was 2.5 seconds. It's now 1.9 seconds. So Mr. M definitely having an impact on this race as he finds some clean air. As you can see, Virus just struggling to hold on to the back of that McLaren. Just running wide. I wonder if those mediums are okay. They should be. We're only 9 laps into this race and some of those laps were under safety car. But Virus definitely losing a position and then losing a considerable amount of time in a very short amount of time. 1.2 seconds in about half a lap. Top Gun now up into P4, and he's followed by the Williams. We have a penalty, I believe that was for Damo. That was a 5-second penalty. Let's just confirm that was a 5-second penalty for Damo. Obviously 5-second penalties can be served in the race if you do another pit stop. If not, 5 seconds gets added to your race time. And what that translates to is, if you're in a close battle, you're going to lose that battle. Put yourself at a serious disadvantage having penalties next to your name. It's self-inflicted pain. Top 3, Andre, Mr. Rem, Virus. Mr. Rem is still making up ground. 1.5 seconds is the gap. Was making up ground quickly. Now he's just slowed down a little bit. So I wonder if Andre has seen that time come down and now he's just reacting to it. I can tell you both of these drivers have exactly the same ERS levels. So that's not going to be a factor. Mr. M's going to have to do this pretty much on speed alone. No gimmicks. Top Gun P4, Louis P5. Harsh Cartoon. He's having quite the race. He's coming up the field quite nicely, up into P6 now. Then the two Ferraris, they are now P7 and 8, line astern. The AlphaTauri of Skull having a recovery drive, now in P9. I was just having a look. I thought I saw that car ghosting for a second, but paranoia. And then we have Smurf back up into the top 10. That will be as a result of his teammate's pit stop. His teammate obviously picked up that penalty. We see there's also a penalty for Reezy. It's a 3-second penalty for Reezy, so that is the first driver to pick up a track limits penalty. And I can promise you he won't be the last. And because of commentators' curse, he might just be the last. Who knows? Gap now going back up. We saw the gap come down all the way to 1.3 seconds for the briefest of moments. And Andre has responded, and that gap back up to 2 seconds. Either Andre responded or Mr. M made a mistake. But that gap back up into the 2-second barrier, and that is crucial. Remember, once you're getting too close to the second mark, all you need is that car in front to make a little error, and all of a sudden, you're in DRS. And defending that position becomes a lot more difficult. So he knows it's crucial to keep that gap comfortably above the 1 second mark. And now 2.2 seconds. So gap is growing. Wonder if that was a reaction from the leader or a mistake from P2. The Alpine, Top Gun. It's been in the top 5 most of the race. Harsh Cartoon still on the move, hasn't made up enough positions yet. Let's bring up that screen. Position changes. There it is. Harsh Cartoon. It's actually trading places now He's just gone past his teammates into the pits, but Harsh Cartoon has made up 9 positions since the start of the race. He's now up into P5, and if I'm not mistaken, he's on a set of hards. There we go, he's on a set of hards. He didn't start on those hards. Remember, he was one of the drivers to start the race on softs. Then we had a very early safety car. He went onto the hard tyre. And ever since, he has been making his way through this field with what appears to be ease. Love to see him up front, challenging the leader at the moment. Andre seems to have this under control. Almost seems to be playing with the gap. Every now and then the gap will drop below 2 seconds. And then it'll go back up. Just hovering around the 2-second mark. And Andre doing just what he needs to do to maintain that gap. Also, thing to note, P1 and P2 into the pits. I was just about to say both those drivers are on hards. They will probably be on the same strategy, and as I was about to say it, I went over to see what they were doing, and they were entering the pit lane. Of course, oh, there we go. Almost looked like looks like somebody got held up there in the pits. Or was that some sort of a glitch? I'm not quite sure what we saw there, but I think the McLaren might have just been held up in the pits. We'll see what the gap is like when they exit pit lane. It will give us an idea. Top Gun is your new leader. Also on a set of hards. Harsh Cartoon. Let's go back to that positions screen. What is that now? 12 positions. Well, this stage is pretty much guaranteed driver of the day. Just needs to finish. Top Gun leads, but for how much longer? Harsh Cartoon all over the back of him. Both those cars are on hards, but Top Gun, he's not having any of that battle. Comes into the pits. And more drivers coming into the pits. All those hard runners. Dixie Killer now into the pits. Harsh Cartoon, he's also on a set of hards. You'll see all the other hard runners pitting, and you'll be wondering, why is Harsh Cartoon not pitting? Well, he's slightly out of sequence with everyone else. See, we had a safety car on lap 2 or lap 3, and he came in and got rid of a set of softs. So while he's also got a hard set of tires, they're 2 or 3 laps better. So he's going to go a little further on into this race. Does have a 14-second gap over P2. Good 20 to 25 seconds to make a pit stop around this track. It's going to be touch and go with Mr. M, Andre and Virus. Luckily for them, they don't have to come through any traffic. They are in clean air, so they can simply put the laps together. If they were trying to come through slower cars, there'd be the possibility that Harsh Cartoon could open that gap enough to make a pit stop and come out in the lead. That doesn't look to be the case. I think he will come out just behind Virus. I was going to say we'll soon find out, but that wasn't. That was the Red Bull. The Red Bull comes into the pits. Harsh Cartoon, he's staying out. I think that first lots of drivers that came in on hards, it was around about lap 12, lap 13. Harsh Cartoon now on lap 12 with those hards. So I think we're going to see him come in at the end of this lap or the next. The gap to Andre, 17 seconds. I still think at this point, if he were to come in right now, he would come in just behind Virus. And unless this gap is growing, if it's shrinking, he needs to come in at the end of this lap. Because those mediums are the better tyre right now. Pantry Star saying, big chance for a podium for Harsh Cartoon. Well, he's in the lead. He hasn't made his pit stop. He's out of sequence. But I think when he does come out, he's going to be with the leaders. And at that point, anything can happen. There we go. Andre going purple in Sector 2. It's the fastest Sector 2 of the race. So that tells you those mediums are definitely working. And Harsh Cartoon has chosen not to come into the pits. And I think it's interesting. The gap was 17 seconds. It's now 16.1. So it is getting smaller. And I just wonder. I'm going to call it. I'm going to call it. He's stretching these tyres a little longer. And he's going to finish on the soft. And he'll probably be the only driver out on track with that soft tyre. It's going to be a very interesting end to the race. Andre in P2, but he'll know that the car ahead of him still needs to make a pit stop. He is in the provisional lead of the race. Pantry Star, if you're still there, I haven't looked at the calendar. Do you know where SAFRL are racing tomorrow? I should probably find my Discord. Harsh Cartoon still out front, but that gap continues to come down, 14.3 seconds. And like I say, if the gap starts coming down, you've got to dive into the pits unless there's a plan. And surely that plan is to get on the soft tyre and finish this race with the best possible compound. And if he's up among the fastest drivers and he has that superior grip, he has endless potential. Ah, fantastic. A track I know nothing about. Jeddah. See, that will be round 2 of the Formula 1 calendar this year. And also the second race of the year to be on a Saturday. Bahrain and Jeddah taking place on Saturday this year. Harsh Cartoon still out on track. 15 laps now on those hards. How much further can he take them? Mr. Rem in P2 now. 12.9 seconds adrift from the leader. Andre staying close behind in P3. Virus has now fallen back somewhat from Andre. Those two cars were much closer together at a stage. Top Gun has retaken his P5, where he spent most of the race. All of those drivers I just mentioned will get promoted when Harsh Cartoon finally does pit. He's currently in sector 2, and he's done 15 laps on those hards. He's gone longer on those hards than anyone has even attempted. I think the longest we've seen was 13 laps. This is the 15th lap on those hard tyres. And I think not only does he want to finish on softs, he wants a very fresh set of softs that he can throw around this racetrack and just basically do 5 or 6 quali laps at the end, throw everything at it. Of course, I have not tested those hard tyres. If those hard tyres can do the entire distance, then there is no reason why Harsh Cartoon would need to pit. Because remember, he pit under safety car, and that will count as your one mandatory stop, even if it was on lap 2. So if he's able to make this 10-second gap last another 6 seconds, there's no reason to pit. But if he's waited too long and those tyres drop off very quickly, he's going to have a hard time in the closing stages. There we go, Pantry Star, just confirmation. Yeah, just if he's managing those tyres, he can very well take this to the end. It's all about that gap, and that gap's actually going back up. Remember, we saw it come down to 10 seconds. It's now 11.7. So Harsh Cartoon, and here he is. He's doing exactly what he needs to do to win this race. And every time he goes over the line and looks up at that gap and sees it's still the same, he'll breathe a sigh of relief. 1 lap less. Now Top Gun, P4, all over the back of Virus. Virus much stronger in the opening stages of the race than he is now. He's coming under all sorts of pressure. Top Gun pushing in P4. There we go, my headphones appear to have muted themselves. Lap 21 of 26, Harsh Cartoon leads the way. Virus still doing what he can to defend, and as I say that, we see the car switch, and then we see him switch back. Virus still in front, but Top Gun challenging for that top 3 position. And Virus will be doing everything he can to hold on to it. Get that double podium for Alfa Romeo. Be a great result on the night. Don't think there's too much he can do about the McLaren in front of him. That gap 9.3 seconds, Mr. Rem. He's doing what he can to chase down Harsh Cartoon, but he's running out of laps, he's running out of tarmac, and that gap simply isn't coming down the way it's supposed to. We saw all the other drivers get rid of their hard tyre around about lap 12, lap 13. But this man here has taken it up to lap 18 and could very well take these tyres right to the end. And that seems to be the plan. That gap still 10 seconds. Might drop out of the double digits. There we go, 9 seconds briefly. And he'll notice that, and it'll just play on his mind a little bit. Once you get out of that double-digit territory, now look at that, it's really starting to drop. 9.5 seconds, so he's lost half a second. Let's just see if we can get a view, a better view hopefully. There it is. Thought maybe there was damage or something like that, because he was just losing a considerable amount of time. But he could be just taking it easy. Maybe those tires aren't in the best condition and he's just like, okay, I'm gonna back off here and there. Got the gap. It's only 3 laps to go. Or is it that his tires have simply fallen off a cliff? Remember, not so long ago we were talking about the gap falling out of double digits. It was 9.9 seconds. It's now 8.7. So the gap definitely coming down. But surely, with just 3 laps to go, I don't think we can see a change for the lead. Harsh Khartoum just needs to bring this car home. Andre from P10 sets the fastest lap of the race. He is in the top 10, so he'll get an extra point. Unless anyone is able to improve. Gap at the front, 8.3 seconds. It fell a lot in the space of a lap and a half. Now it's still falling, but it has slowed down. I think Harsh Khartoum maybe just noticed how quickly it was falling and just put his foot down a little more. Yeah, surely there's no time, just 2 laps to go in this race. 7.8 seconds. I think Harsh Khartoum is just going to do exactly what he needs to do, just to bring those tyres home. He's not going to push too hard, but he's also not going to get caught napping. Revolution becomes the latest addition to the penalties screen. Let's bring up those penalties just for reference. We have Skull, Smurf, Disguise and Reezy on 3 seconds apiece, and then Revolution, he is on 6 seconds. So that's 2 infringements. Virus P4, Top Gun. He's having a good race, isn't he? He was in P5 for a long time, battled for P4, struggled with the Ferrari at the start of the race. Now he's looking at a pretty safe podium. Just 2 laps to go. Race has come nicely to that Alpine in the closing stages. Dixie Killer 3-second time penalty. Mr. M still chasing, but that gap still big enough to manage. Harsh Khartoum leading 4.8 seconds. It's probably just going to be a little bit cruel for Mr. M. He's been chasing this car for so long. And suddenly, as that car starts to become visible over the horizon, there's probably just going to be a few corners to go and there'll be nothing he can do about it. He has closed the gap. He's done a good job. Just hasn't closed it quick enough. 3.9 seconds with a lap and a half to go. And I do wonder what's happening inside that Alfa Romeo. Is he taking it easy? Or is he holding on to the car and wondering, oh, these tyres. Oh, these tyres. 3.2 seconds, 3.1 seconds. Surely he's not just backing off if he sees the gap coming down at this rate. So I wonder if those tyres have fallen off the cliff. 2.6 seconds. And I think that's going to be the gap as we go over the line for the final lap. The gap's going to be 2.2 seconds on the final lap between the leaders. And I think Harsh Cartoon has done just enough. Remember, it's one thing, I think these are the famous words of Murray Walker actually, it's one thing to catch, it's quite another to pass. So he's 1.7 seconds up the road, but that doesn't mean he's going to close that gap and immediately pass the driver. He needs to close that gap and then still find a suitable part of the racetrack to get past him. Gap's 1.3 seconds, crucially over that 1 second barrier. He's done exactly what he needed to do right down to the last sector of the last lap. I think if Mr. M had another lap, this race would look quite different, but still catching, getting very close, 0.4 of a second. It's not over. Depends how's that traction going to feel on the exit, on those hards. How bad are those hards? Start finish line very early on the straight. And he's done just enough. If that had been one more lap, just one more lap, he wouldn't have been able to hold on to that. But he timed that perfectly. Like I said, to the last lap, to the last sector. I think he didn't even need another lap. He needed another 2 corners. And he would have got that done. It was like a bit of an issue there at the back, but I think that was already after the start finish line, so hopefully no harm, no foul. We wait for the second AlphaTauri. The AlphaTauris had a brilliant qualifying session, looked really strong. But in the race, P8 and P9, points for both cars, but probably not the points haul they would have been hoping for. Demo takes the checkered flag, P12. Now we just wait for the 2 Mercedes. It's the Skies, followed by Reezy, P13 and 14. Both of them coming over the line. But no points on the night for Mercedes-Benz. Harsh Cartoon, driver of the day, as well as the winner. There he is. What a drive. Made up so many positions. Decided to extend the hard tyres longer than I thought he ever could. And somehow right at the end was able to win the race by just 0.2 of a second. That's how close it was. So Harsh Cartoon took the victory from Mr. M. Then Top Gun P3, Virus P4, Louis P5. Then we have the pair of Ferraris, Chums and Dixie Killer in 6 and 7. Then the 2 AlphaTauris, Skulls and Andre, P8 and 9. Smurf in P10. Then outside of the points tonight, Revolution for McLaren, Damo for Red Bull, and the pair of Mercedes, the Skies and Reezy. And we have a very short DNF list for tonight. Just the one driver, Gotzi, retired early on and gave us our one and only safety car. I want to thank everybody who joined us tonight, everybody who watched, everybody who contributed in the comment section. And if you watched this live, thanks so much. If you're watching this later on in the week or listening to it in the background, however it is you do this, thanks so much. And I'll speak to you soon. Cheers, guys.